your dreams.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick beginner's guide for Punishing Gray Raven. If you haven't liked the video, just leave a like and subscribe. So progressing in Punishing Gray Raven can be divided into 3 parts. Level 1 through 39 is basically beginning. Levels 40 through 79 are basically middle, and after you get to level 80 plus, you're basically at the end game. When you first start out in Punishing Gray Raven, you should rush to level 35 as quickly as you can, because once you get to level 35, you basically unlock all of the weekly content such as Operation Guardians, Warzone, and the Phantom Pain Cage. These weeklies are basically a very good source of the black cards, which are used for pulling for the characters in this game. In the normal story campaign, I will point out the important stages that you need to look out for, because those stages will unlock a new thing. Once you clear stage 1-8 normal, you will unlock these things called the novice missions. These novice missions will provide you with black cards for summoning, and they will also provide you a free 5-star weapon for Nanami, which is called the Lightning Spark. Clearing stage 2-4 on normal mode will unlock this thing called the FOS Committee. It's a game mode that basically goes through the tutorial, teaches you how to play the game, combat techniques, etc. Once it's been completed, you basically get a free A rank tank Omniframe choice pack and also an A rank support Omniframe choice pack, which is basically allows you to select free characters, either a tank or a support. You will also obtain a free 5-star weapon selector. Once you clear the stage 5-7 on normal, you should be pretty close to level 35, and you'll be able to unlock all of the weeklies in order to do your, well, weeklies. New players should take advantage of the FOS instructor mentorship, which is basically like a student teacher thing, kind of similar to Honkai Impact 3's system. This system basically gives new players 30 serum. Serum is basically like the resin / energy / stamina for the gacha game in Punishing Gray Raven. New players can also unlock 5-star memories, which is basically like your artifacts, gear, relics, whatever. When new players start the game, they will unlock this thing called beginner missions. Doing this will unlock all types of goodies. You basically get a 6-star weapon choice pack, an S rank Omniframe choice pack, which is basically a free 5-star. Each day will have a specific amount of missions, and you basically get new missions the next day, a total of 7 days. These beginner missions are permanent, so you don't have to worry about rushing through this. They will basically stay there until you finish the beginner missions. The total number of black cards that you get from these beginner missions is basically 1850. When it comes to team building and Punishing Gray Raven, it's pretty straightforward. You only use 3 characters in one team. Character roles are very simple. You have 4 character roles. You have attacker, which is your DPS, tank, which is your tank, the masochist, support, which is basically the healers, and you got the amplifiers, which are basically the buffers. Endgame content requires you to have at least 4 different teams: physical, ice, fire, and lightning. Oh, and dark too, 5 teams, dark as well. For new players, it's recommended that you build an ice or dark team first, because for dark, you can get Selena Capricosio, a dark amplifier, for free if you grind hard enough. And when I say grind, you really are going to have to grind, especially for free to play. It's going to take you quite a long time for you to get her. You can also get number 21 or Watanabe from the free A rank tank selector, and they're both pretty decent dark tanks. You also get Kamui for free as well, who's also a pretty decent dark tank as well. Selena may be an amplifier, but she does have a DPS set that you can use on her. Same deal applies for the ice team as well. You can get Ayla for free if you grind really hard. You also get Bambanita and Ayla, the Brilliance version, free A ranks for free. So as a free-to-play player, you can either go for a budget dark or a budget ice team. As a new player, you do get access to a free S rank Omniframe selector, which basically gives you a free 5-star. I recommend that you use the S rank selector once you get a 5-star from the basic banner or any other banner. That way you can at least avoid any duplicates. That way you can at least build another team as quickly as you can. Sooner or later, you'll have an opportunity to join a guild. guilds unlock a game mode called Simulated Siege. This game mode will have 3 stages for you to complete, and you basically get this thing called, I think it's like Union Achievement Points. You can use those points to exchange for Hypertune materials, which is materials for your memories. Your memories are basically like your gear / artifacts, relics, whatever. You can also exchange them for Uniframe shards. Punishing Grey Raven has like 2 types of playable characters. You got Omniframes, which is basically like your basic characters, and you also have Uniframes, which are a little unique. All Uniframes are basically S rank. They're basically 5 stars, and they have a unique class called the Vanguard. You can use Uniframes with Omniframes, however they will suffer from 30% attack loss depending on how many Omniframes are on the team. When you first reach level 52, you'll get a free Uniframe called Kamui Krakata. That's basically the main gist of Uniframes. There are game modes in Punishing Grey Raven that you will need to use Uniframes, but if you're only playing PGR just for your dailies and weeklies, you don't really got to worry too much about Uniframes. By the time you get to level 40, you'll be able to participate in events. Just like with any other gacha game, there are going to be events in Punishing Grey Raven that you can participate in. Once you're level 40, I recommend that you start doing the event stages, because event stages can give you currency, and you can use that currency in the event shop to buy all types of goodies. You can buy leveling up equipment, you can buy ascension equipment, you can buy cogs, which is basically like your mora, your money, whatever. Memories, which are basically like your artifacts, relics, whatever. Events in Punishing Grey Raven basically have all of these things, right? And you can basically farm them as long as the event is active. Punishing Grey Raven does have a typical resource stages that you can farm, but event stages are a lot more efficient compared to those. So I definitely highly recommend that you start doing event stages at level 40 so you can get all the resources and goodies that you need to level up your account, level up your characters. Once you start farming these event stages, you can start farming for the 6-star memories, which is basically like your artifacts, relics, whatever. When it comes to building characters in Punishing Grey Raven, it is relatively easy because there is an in-game mode, or not in mode, but an in-game guide that basically tells you how to build characters. Don't worry, it's not as stupid and shitty as Genshin's training guide, right? This is actually very reliable, as most players in the Punishing Grey Raven community are tryhards, so they're not gonna fuck you over with builds and shit. The in-game guide also has a really good future planner. If you're looking at the recommended builds, you can basically say I want this build, and the game will keep track on how far you are in building that character when it comes to the memories, the weapons, etc. Before you do start farming for 6-star memories, you can use 5-star memories or lower as placeholders, but it's not recommended that you fully invest in those memory sets. But if you are struggling in the game under level 40, you should level up whatever placeholders you have. For free-to-play players, there is a co-op mode that has co-op missions. These co-op missions can give you 5-star weapons at a low drop rate, and you can also get 5-star weapon shards, which will also give you more 5-star weapons. At level 60, you unlock this thing called Norman, and you must be wondering, who the fuck is Norman? Well, I don't know who Norman is, but Norman is short for Norman's Revival Plan. I hardly ever touch this game mode because I'm really casual as fuck. I basically play PGR at least maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes a day. This game mode is one of the most challenging in the game. It's definitely going to put you through the ringer. The rewards will basically consist of black cards, tantalum ore, which is used to buy cub shards. At level 61, you'll unlock cubs. Cubs are basically pets. They're basically similar to Honkai Impact 3rd's elf system, or I guess their new astral OP system. You basically tap a button and your pet will be summoned on the field. They'll have various effects. There's also a gacha for these cubs. Now, if you are a tryhard player, you will be concerned about these cubs, but if you're a casual, player that's only playing for the waifus or husbandos, you can basically ignore the cub system altogether, because I hardly ever use this shit. Okay, so now you're 80 level plus. If you're in the mentorship instructor program, you can either graduate at level 80, but if you choose not to, you can auto graduate at level 83. It's recommended that you auto graduate at 83 so you can at least milk as much rewards as possible. You can also start building multiple teams once you get to level 80 plus. So if there's any elements you're missing, you can start building those elements. So I'm going to briefly go over how the gacha banners work in Punishing Grey Raven. There are many different banners in this game. It can be kind of confusing for new players to keep track of all these. First banner I'm going to talk about is the themed event construct banner. This is basically the banner that many of you free-to-plays are going to be spending on the most, as the pity for this banner is 60. Also, new characters are going to be in this banner. The next banner is called Fate Themed Event Construct. This banner will have a higher base rate, however, the pity is much higher. It can be up to 80 or 100. This banner will also have the newest character on rate up. The third banners that they have is called the Arrival Construct. This banner will basically have 2 to 3 target characters from previous patches, and you basically have a 70% chance to get them at 60 pity. The other 30% is basically another S-ranked character. This banner is basically a rerun banner. However, there is a better version of this banner that I will go over eventually. The next banner that they got is called the Fate Arrival Construct. This is basically similar to the previous banner that I mentioned, but it does have a higher pity, and you do have a 70% chance of getting the character that you selected. The next type of banner that they got is called the Wishing Target. This banner is kind of similar to the Arrival Construct banner, but it is better. The pity is at 60, and you basically get a character 100% guaranteed. You can select a character that they have on rate up. However, once you select a character, you cannot change it. The next type of banner they got is called the Fate Wishing Target, which is basically similar to the Wishing Target, but it has a higher pity at 80 to 100. Next banner they got is the Anniversary banner, which is pretty similar to the Wishing banner. But you're not limited to selecting to one character. You could select multiple characters. This banner is pretty good if you're trying to fill up your roster of characters. Next banner they got is called the Fate Anniversary Limited banner. And it's basically similar to the Anniversary banner, but the rates are higher, but the pity is also higher as well, from 80 to 100. Another banner that they got, yes, I know, they have a shit ton of banners, right? Holy shit. They have the Member Target banner. Black cards are used to exchange for 2 types of summoning currency. You have the Event Construct tickets, which is basically the currency that you use on the other banners, the currency or the tickets that you use the most. But the Member Target uses the basic construct ticket instead. It's not recommended that you use your black cards to get the basic construct tickets, because you can get those for free by doing the Operation Guardians. You're not going to be touching this banner that often. You're only going to be touching it when you have enough basic construct tickets that you get from Operation Guardians. The pity for the S rank is at 60, and the pity for an S rank is 10. Another banner that they got is the Target Uniframe. This is basically the banner that you use to summon Uniframes. The pity is at 10. This is the only banner that you can get Uniframes from. Because of how Uniframes worked and how restricted they are when it comes to putting them on a team, it's only recommended that you pull on these if you really like the Uniframe character. Don't worry, we got 3 more banners to talk about. We got equipment banners. First, I'm going to talk about the Target Weapon Research. The pity for the guaranteed weapon is at 30. You have an 80% chance of getting the guaranteed weapon. I would only recommend you roll on the weapon banners if you are a spender. If you are a free-to-play player, you can at least try to save as much black cards as you can. The best way to use your black cards is to use them for character banners. Another banner that they have is called the Weapon Research banner. This banner basically gives you random weapons. Don't use your black cards on this banner. You do get free currency by logging into the game, which is basically called the Basic Weapon R&D ticket. It's best to use those whenever you have any spare ones on hand. Never use your black cards on this weapon banner. And the last banner that they have is called the Cub banner, or Cub Target banner. You use Cub R&D tickets, which can be obtained from the Norman Revival plan. So it's not recommended that you use your black cards for this banner, unless you are spending money in the game. Once you start getting 6-star memories, you'll eventually have an option to resonate and hypertune those memories. These are basically upgrades for your memories. I started doing these really late into the game, and that's mostly because I haven't been paying too much attention. Keep in mind that when you resonate a memory, that resonate will only be tied to that specific character. That means if you move that memory to another character, that character that you just moved to will not get that resonate effect. Resonate effects are basically the RNG in this game. However, you don't really have to worry too much because they are relatively pretty easy to do, as the requirements to do them is basically a duplicate of that 6-star memory. It doesn't even have to be the exact duplicate, as long as it's like the same, you know, memory of that set. You also have a 6-star memory resonance material pick, which basically lets you pick the resonance that you want. So if you are getting screwed by the RNG, you can just use that instead. Resonant effects can include leveling up specific orb colors, whether it's red orb, yellow orb, blue orb, or basic attacks, or a signature move, or a QTE level move. It's really random. Hypertuning is basically raising your memory stats. If the memories are on the top row, it's going to raise HP and crit. If the memories on the bottom row, it's going to increase your attack and defense instead. So what is the meta like in Punishing Gray Raven? So you can clear the content with basically any character in the game. There are leaderboards in Punishing Gray Raven, more specifically in the game modes of Warzone and the Phantom Pain Cage. If you want to be higher in the leaderboards, you're going to have to roll for the meta characters. Leaderboards don't really matter, they're just kind of there to show off. So unless you want to be high on the leaderboards, you don't really have to care about meta in Punishing Gray Raven. So that's basically going to be the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Any comments, questions, concerns, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer as best as I can. If this video has helped you in any way, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye now. Come again soon.